Welcome back to the channel. We call our channel Tractors in Life, mainly because we wanted to have a varied type of content, and this is not about tractors, this is about life. I really struggled with doing this video, if it was the right thing to do, and finally determined there was two especially very good reasons why I need to do this video. I'm a very private person. My mom used to always say when we were growing up, what goes on in this house stays in this house, which I don't know why, nothing ever happened, but you know, again, it's that privacy thing. But I'm kind of foregoing that, and please stay till the end of the video. There's, again, two very good reasons that I'm doing this video. The video I'm kind of thinking is tailored towards men in this. If you have a wife, a daughter, a mother, a woman in your life that you love, that's very important to you, this is a very important video. My wife Laura in 1997 found through self-examination a lump on her breast, about smaller than the size of a grape, hard as a rock. So she started going to doctors. She was only 33 years old. So they thought that it was something benign. They even tried, I think the word is aspirating it, which is where they put a needle in and try to draw it out. She said the pain was absolutely unbelievable. Well, they finally determined that, in fact, it was breast cancer, again, at 33 years old. They talked about mastectomy, but because of her age, and they thought that they probably caught it early, and so they did what's called a lumpectomy. That was followed by chemo and radiation. And I'll tell you, my wife was an absolutely beautiful woman, stunning. I really overmarried. I outkicked my coverage, as they say. We'd go in restaurants, and I would see guys doing double takes and what have you. And she had hair that women would die for. Well, she lost all that beautiful hair through chemo and radiation. Never missed a day's work. Not one single day of work did she miss. Just the strongest person I've ever met in my life. So she was, of course, under the doctor's care following the chemo and radiation. She was put on a drug at the time, which was rather new, called tamoxifen. Her cancer was estrogen-based, and I believe, I'm not a physician, I believe this was meant to obviously treat it because it was that type. There's all different kinds of breast cancer. Believe me, I learned more about cancer in general, and especially breast cancer, than I ever wanted to know. She was in their care for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, they released her. We wanted to have a baby, and she was almost 40 years old. They cautioned us because they didn't know what the drug tamoxifen would do to a fetus. Plus the fact she was 40 years of age, she was considered high risk. Well, in 2003, we had a little girl, which was absolutely a gift from God. What a blessing that she was and is. We went on with our life. And so for the next number of years, till 2012, one day we were working out. My wife was someone that worked out her whole life. Wasn't a big drinker, really took care of herself, and it showed. Again, she was beautiful. We were working out together. She was doing these overhead lifts, and all of a sudden she kind of screamed and dropped to her knees and started to cry and had this unbelievable pain in her rib cage. We assumed that she busted a rib, so went to the doctor. That's kind of what they figured. As a matter of fact, she did. She cracked a rib. Well, it was mid-September. You know, if you asked me what the worst day of my life was, this was the day. It was around mid-September. She got a call from the doctor's office. They had done x-rays and all this other kind of stuff. And the doctor said, wanted to know if she was alone. She said that I was in the house and wanted me on the phone call. So put the doctor on speaker. And they told us that they had bad news and that they found several lesions throughout Laura's abdomen. I asked, well, how many? And the response was too many to count. And they believed that she had bone cancer. Well, I just cannot even explain the despair. Bone cancer is almost an immediate death sentence. It takes its victim very, very soon. So we got assigned back to the same cancer institute that she was originally at many years earlier for breast cancer. They soon diagnosed that it was not, in fact, bone cancer, that it was breast cancer. The doctor, I remember his words walking in when he saw her. He said, "I thought we got it all." He was shocked that she was back. So now comes, they were very encouraging because there was a new drug available that was not available during her first bout with cancer called Herceptin, and they had wonderful luck with it. So they started her on Herceptin. Nothing worked for her. She had chemo, I believe it was 2 different times, radiation. She was sent to Moffitt Cancer Institute up in Tampa because the doctors were becoming perplexed. They couldn't figure out why they couldn't get it. I'm really trying to be unemotional as I can in this because the message, I believe, is so important. We went on treatments. I was with her for every single treatment, many hospital visits. I would sleep at the hospital with her. After she was diagnosed in 2012, I remember going out to the patio by myself. It was at nighttime, looking up at the stars and talking to God and saying to him, "I will do this. I will devote my life to her and her care, but I can't do everything." I was new in real estate. We were making it, but we were kind of also-rans. And I said to God, "Please, you take over the business for me." That was 2012. In 2013, I was the #1 real estate agent in our city, a good-sized city in Florida. Had a year, we put it this way, we didn't worry about money. I mean, talk about an answer to a prayer. Life went on. She was getting worse and worse. I mentioned that she would turn heads in restaurants because of her beauty. When we would now go out to eat, she would still turn heads, but now for a different reason. She had no hair. She was all of about 85 pounds. She looked like a concentration camp victim, and people would do a double take. You know, when you see someone that you could just look at and you know was very, very sick. Well, we got into 2016, and she was getting worse and worse. One day, I just could not wake her up. I called the doctor. It was about 6:30 in the morning. They said, "Get her to the emergency room right away." Once she got there, the doctors made it clear that this was it. And she was in and out of consciousness. The last word she ever said to me before she slipped into an all-out coma was, "Stop crying. I'm not dying." She fought. She didn't believe she was dying. She lasted, to everyone's shock, at Hope Hospice for over a week. They were amazed at how much she fought. And in March 14th, 2016, she passed away. She was my everything. She was my best friend, my lover, my wife. What a wonderful mother she was to our children. We had 6 children between us, and my youngest, our daughter, who was our blessing in 2003, now 2012, was 9 years old. I'm a single parent with a 9-year-old little girl. This was not the deal. This was not the way things were supposed to be. Was I feeling sorry for myself? Yeah, of course, yeah, I was. I then went into an absolute deep depression, made horrible decisions in life. Finally, I resigned myself to the fact that lightning had struck for me. I had the one great love affair that I am convinced that most people don't have. And that was it. My best friend asked me, "Are you mad at God?" And it took me back when he asked that question. I said, no. He gave me the most wonderful person. I'm thankful that he did. I really felt that. But this is it for me. Kevin the man was dead. I was going to be Kevin the father, take care of my children, and go about and try to live a good life. But that part of me was going to be dead forever. And then one day again on the patio, talking to God, I thought to myself, why am I giving up? This is God. This is the man. He can do anything. So I prayed, please send me someone in my life. And he did. Lightning struck twice for me. He sent me tests. You've seen her in our videos. I still to this day call her my angel because she is my rock. She saved me. She's a wonderful mother to our children. Now, between us, we have 8 children. She brought 2 wonderful, wonderful kids that I love so much into the marriage. And she is my rock. There's 2 reasons for this video, as I mentioned at the beginning. One is this: be proactive about your health. Here's what we were never told in Laura's illness when she came back and had cancer in 2012. And it shocked me. The recidivism rate, the rate of reoccurrence for breast cancer approaches 90%. If you know someone that has had breast cancer and they're like my wife and they're released and you're fine and live your life, that's wonderful. Don't accept it. Insist that she goes back to the doctor at least once a year and has them pull tumor markers. They are a barometer when it comes to cancer as to what's happening inside the woman's body. Normal people have tumor markers of, 10, 20, almost non-existent. My wife at her height, if I'm remembering correctly, was somewhere around 400. So if they go back to the doctor and they've got a spike in tumor markers, something's going on. They don't know microscopically what's happening in our woman's body. Again, almost 90% recidivism rate. The other reason for the video is hope. If you've given up hope, like I did, fight. Don't give up hope. Don't give up on life. God is amazing. He blessed me. He saved me. He brought the most wonderful woman into my life. I'm not a particularly great guy. I don't deserve it. To have 2 of these women in my life, it's just absolutely amazing to me. Still amazes me. I still call her my angel every single day. Be proactive about your health. As the man, you've got to be the caregiver. You've got to take over control. A woman is blindsided by something like breast cancer. They never think it's going to happen to them. You got to be strong. You got to be there. It's very unpleasant to watch the person that you love deteriorate to nothing. Fight. Get her to fight. And remember, there's always hope. And thank you for listening. God bless you all.